Today's episode is going to be a little bit more on the serious side, but I think it's important. I'm going to talk about loneliness.
I woke up in the middle of the night and I noticed my girl wasn't by my side. Could've sworn I was dreaming, for her I was...
Loneliness has very little to do with how many people you're around. It's much more a function of the quality and the power and the strength of the communities that you're a part of. And if there's anything that social media originally set out to do, it's to connect people. And in some ways that's happening. I think as a world we're much more connected, at least politically and civically. But in terms of curing loneliness, I wonder if that's actually gotten worse. At least I feel it. And there's something really interesting going on here, and there's a huge opportunity to cure that loneliness because the internet should be making things better. It should be bringing people together, and I think it has the power to cure loneliness, but we're not even close to there yet.
What really hurt me is I broke your heart, baby, you were a good girl and I had no right.
So I think there's good news and there's bad news. Let's start with the good news. The good news is that it's on us to fix these problems, and so many of these problems are endemic to social media, meaning that young people, and only really people who have grown up on the internet, like you and me, can really fix them. The issue is that I think that this problem might get worse, way worse, before it gets better, because unless you've grown up on the internet, the people in power right now, I think in many ways, don't understand the root of the issues, and I'm worried that they're using old solutions to new problems. Okay, so I don't really have answers here, it's just something I've been thinking about. And generally, when I think about something, I like to ground my thinking in theories of evolution, because I think that evolution tells us a lot about human nature, what we're designed for, and the things that we like to do. Humans used to live in tribes. What we used to do before the agricultural revolution was we would just, as a tribe, go from place to place and we would find food, and then when the resources were all used up, we would just move on, and then we would keep doing that. And then what happened is we began to settle in certain geographies and we began to cultivate food. Wheat, corn, crops, animals, whatever. And what we can learn through all of that is that humans have always been together in tribes. We love being together, and it's something that we did in order to survive, so it's very core to the human condition. And I remember when I was applying to colleges, somebody told me, I don't remember who it is, that when things are really big, you have to try to make it feel really small, and ultimately that's why I chose a small school, because I was worried that at a school that was too big, contrary to popular belief, you might just not even be able to find people that you can really connect with. And so I think that as the world gets bigger and bigger, the internet gets bigger and bigger, what we need to do is make it small again. And I think there's a huge opportunity to use the internet to create these small communities, and there's a huge need for it.
I used to believe we were burning on the edge of something beautiful.
And I'm thinking of two institutions totally on the opposite end of the spectrum that illustrate the power of communities. Because within these two institutions, people love them and return every single year or week. So the first one is Burning Man, a festival in Nevada where people go and the rules of society just sort of disappear and people connect through art, music, and culture. And then the church has always brought people together for hundreds of years. What do they have in common? I think it's space. There's something really powerful about being in the same space as somebody and having those conversations, because in many ways you're stuck there. And that feeling of being stuck there, not in a negative way, I think really brings people together. And when I think about the internet, I think that we don't have those spaces. We don't have a place on the internet that you can go. And virtual reality and other emerging technologies promise that. And I think that we're sort of in a funny place on the internet where we have this place that we can go, we have people that we connect with, but we don't have spaces that we can share with them that feel like they're ours. The beauty of the internet is that it's removed geography as a constraint in so many ways, especially with distribution. But in terms of establishing and maintaining communities, geography still really matters. And there's companies like Further Future, Collective Retreats, and then I have a friend who owns the Instagram handle Earth, who's trying to build a travel club so that people who love travel and just sort of operate with an attitude of wanderlust can come together and travel the world. And I think that that is great, and I think that it's amazing, but we need so much more of that. And yes, the technology is just beginning to develop, but there's so many ways that we can and should be curing loneliness using the internet. when I look for emerging trends and think about the future, I like to look at sort of what's beginning to change. And I think that we're seeing a huge rise in things like meditation retreats, yoga retreats, festivals, because people want to come together. And I feel like so many of us have places that we go to on the internet that feel like home in terms of the content that they have. That's all tied to our interests. But in so many ways, I feel like we're not meeting people there. And there's something really frustrating about that. Okay, this is going to be one of those problems that's going to take years and years to solve and a lot of manpower. But I believe in it really strongly, and that's part of the reason why I'm starting the North Star. It's to bring creators and entrepreneurs together through the common interest of doing work they love with people who inspire them. And I'm thrilled that so many people are working on this problem. And I believe that with technology and where we're going in this world, I think that we're going to be able to solve this problem. It's just going to take a little while.